Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the Managing Director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. As the title of this video suggests, we're discussing the CESA, and to be clear, what that is the Center for Economic Situation Administration. And I'm kind of making this video, it's kind of one of my opinion videos, but I'm not asking this simply to be contrarian. I really genuinely am curious as to the answer to this question. Do we really need this thing? Honestly. This is actually a relatively old article from the Phuket News. That's the phuketnews.com. And the article is titled, Government Launches Center for Economic Situation Administration. And quoting directly, Bangkok, another government-backed center has been established for the purpose of managing an economy rattled by the pandemic crisis, with redundancy and business interests at the core qualms expressed over the move, Quoting further, the Cabinet last Thursday, August 23rd, gave the green light to establish a center to handle the country's economic rehabilitation from the coronavirus crisis. Well, as I've discussed in other videos, I would argue, the pandemic crisis is not so much the issue, it's more the response crisis where we've just had these massive draconian lockdowns, which just really substantially hobbled the economy to begin with. That's arguably where these problems began. The question is, I really do want, a center for, okay, we've done the CCSA, which is sort of, and I've discussed this, I have my own reservations about the need for the CCSA on many different levels. But on this one, I really am curious, is this going to be permanent? Why do we have this Center for Economic Situation Administration? Just to quote again, another government-backed center has been established for the purpose of managing an economy rattled by the pandemic crisis, with redundancy and business interests as the core qualms expressed over the move. Well, I would say, look, you really want to deal with the economic fallout from this. Just reopen the economy. That would be a big first step. But this note, I have real issues with this because this notion of managing the economy. Where did this ever come from? The Thailand I came to, I never had heard of this before, up until a couple of years ago when this all began. And the reason it kind of concerns me is, Center for Economic Situation Administration, administering the economic situation. I mean, people kind of forget what the word Soviet used to mean in the old Soviet Union. It was committee. It was essentially government by committee, And so when I see these committees sort of set up out there, it really gives me some chills. And not a lot of people study the Soviet Union. I just, on a personal note, I've read as much as I can. I kind of find Eastern European, especially the Byzantine Empire and sort of the Russian Empire after that, really fascinating parts of history. And so I've read books from each of the eras, from the Byzantine Empire all the way through the Romanov dynasty, into the revolution, and then the takeover by the Bolsheviks, and then sort of the Stalinist era, the Khrushchev era, the Brezhnev era, leading up to Gorbachev, and then, the fall of the wall, and then sort of modern Russia. There's a great book on it's not even really modern Russia now, but 90s Russia called The Oligarchs, which is quite fascinating. But the reason I'm making the video is I'm kind of scared that this kind of Soviet kind of committee thinking is seeping into policy making with respect to the economy. I think my personal opinion is the best thing we can do in Thailand now to get things moving is just reopen. Just let's get on with it. Let's get all this restrictions and management and administration out of the way, and let's get on to making some money, frankly. Let's get on to some... And I'm not saying there's not a place for government. You can't have, just absolutely wanton lawlessness in your economy, because that leads to all kinds of fraud, can lead to capital mismanagement, it can lead to all kinds of crime. I get that, but this notion that just the economy needs to be managed, I question the entire premise that that is the case.